And then 13 equals 48, and then
You figure out the same thing
14
you did up top.
equals 180 minus 48.
Morning, everybody.
Yeah.
Guys, it's Wednesday. We're halfway done. Good morning, everybody. All right. I know it's a nasty day, and it's still dark out a little bit. So today's lesson isn't that long. We'll go ahead and get through it, and then there's an activity that should be pretty fun for everyone. So we'll start off with a warm-up. What is aliasing? Oh, that's supposed to say and. Aliasing and anti-aliasing. So first up is aliasing, right? Who knows what that is? Remember from yesterday. Blake? Stereostatic. Which one is that? Aliasing? Alright, so anti-aliasing would be what? Yep. Smooth. It's when they take that jagged edge and they kind of have a small gradient. You guys remember pixels?
Wait, is that aliasing or not?
Aliasing is the sharp contrast. So very jagged stereostatic edges, like black blocks on a white background, right? And then anti-aliasing would be like a little bit of a gray transition between the white background and the black jagged edges. You guys get that? It's kind of like they smooth and they blur the edges a little bit. So kind of blend the two together. They do it very quickly. All right. Which ones do you guys prefer to look at visually? Anti-aliasing, why?
Because it makes it clearer.
It makes it.
Like if you zoom in, then it just makes it clearer from outside, doesn't it? When you look zoom out.
When you zoom out, you can't really tell that much. It might not make your eye hurt so much when you look at it, maybe, depending on the colors of your background and the colors of whatever you're looking at. Does that make sense? Maybe. What about you, Joe? Good emphasis? All right. Pulling in fundamentals of design to have emphasis if you're using aliasing, right? For me, I think it just depends on what you're using it for. If you want something that needs a lot of contrast, and you want like a sharp edge, like a very crisp edge, I'd probably go with aliasing. But if I'm looking at font on a sheet of paper, then I'd probably want something with a smoother edge so that it doesn't hurt my eyes so much to look at. Does that make sense? Joe? Yep. When you're using Photoshop, there's an option to create and to edit objects using aliasing or anti-aliasing. So when we get into Photoshop, I can show you guys. I don't think we're going to go too far into actual Photoshop, but it's a tool that you all should be aware of. And I'll probably show you that tomorrow or the next day. All right? All right, so did you guys finish your crossword puzzles yesterday?
No, not even close.
No, not even close? Halfway done? Is that where everyone's at? Halfway done?
No.
All right. Well, after, if you guys want to work on those, maybe towards the end of class, I'll probably give you some time tomorrow, actually, because today you've got an activity that's going to take most of your time. We're going to move on past vectors and bitmaps for the past few days. And talk today about basic presentation techniques, right? So this is not necessarily PowerPoint specific, but something that you can use in things like PowerPoint, creating posters, and using Illustrator, all right? So it's not that long. There are a couple of different variations, so go ahead and take your book bags off your desk and put away all the other homework. This will take like 5-10 minutes to get through tops, all right? So basic presentation techniques. First up, you have elements and visual aids. There should be 4 of these. The first is that you have images, right? Images are just pictorial elements. You have drawings, you have photographs, and then your contents, your continuous tone images, what we talked about yesterday, right? Or your contents, vectors or bitmaps? Bitmaps, that's right. You also have, so you have your images, you have your words, and words are just text, right? How they are arranged and displayed, and they usually set the display or the body type. Usually set as display body type. So the content, the core of your poster or your presentation is going to be text, right? That's what conveys most of your message. Color and pictures and images as well, but text is how the symbols that we use to communicate, right? images, words, basic geometric shapes. And then geometric shapes make your eye follow the presentation in a certain way. It'll lead your eye in one direction or another. So you have circles, rectangles, triangles, irregular 2D shapes, etc. And you also have color. We just got done talking about color, right? What are our color models again? John Lindsay?
RGB and CMYK.
RGB, CMYK, and then what's HSV?
Use saturation.
Hue, saturation, and value. And what's another synonym for value?
Color.
Brightness, right? Sometimes it's HSV, value and brightness kind of go hand in hand, right? So using color, and then you guys remember certain colors invoke certain emotions. They stand for things like brown is reliability, and purple sometimes is royalty, white is innocence, stuff like that. Red, what does red do? Angry, emotion, get excited, right? Alright, so the planning and composition of your presentation, just like everything, whether you're writing a paper and you create an outline, or you're making a movie and you have a storyboard, you're going to plan the composition of what your presentation is going to look like. Alright? So your themes are going to be based on the audience and the goal of your presentation. You make it appropriate for what you're trying to convey. If you're making a presentation for elementary school kids, you're probably going to use a lot of what? Pictures, basic shapes, maybe some colors. You're not going to throw too much text at them, because what are they going to do? They're just going to turn off. They're not going to pay any attention. They're not really going to care to read what's up here. Whereas if you go to, say, NC State, or UNC, or Georgia Tech, as an undergrad or even a graduate student, what are you mostly going to look at? A title and text, right? When you get older, we expect you to be able to read the presentation and understand what's going on, and become less and less dependent on graphics. What do your children's books look like? Lots of pictures. And then when you get to like 11th, 12th grade, college level, except for like your biology text, what do your books look like? Just a bunch of text, right? So again, making sure that it's appropriate for your audience, and then your focus refers to the attention given to any particular element. So what do you think the focus is of this graphic? The main element. What's given the most attention visually?
The picture in the middle.
The picture in the middle. So this little gradient, topographical little swoosh in the middle, kind of.
Yeah.
What do you think is the next most prevalent element?
Title.
The title? Okay, so first off, you notice this colored thing here in the middle, and then your eyes go up to the title, and what happens next?
The pictures.
The pictures down here. So there's a hierarchy within this presentation, right? This is the attention given. Boom. And then it pulls the colors from this graphic up to the title, and then you recognize the title, and then it repeats the borders of these colors down here, and then lastly, you're going to look at the text. Right? Focus refers to attention given to any particular element that stands out in the presentation. It's commonly known as, or associated to, the main idea. So the main idea, mathematics and the cosmos, that's the title. Does this kind of give you that idea of the cosmos? Looking at something celestial out in space? Maybe? Kind of? Sort of? Who thinks it might relate to the cosmos? Alright, and who thinks it really has nothing to do with it? Okay. The more of you think it relates than not, so I think they did a pretty decent job. You also have balance, weight, and placement within your presentation. Alright? So balance will either be formal or informal, and we already talked about that. Is that a principle or method of design? Balance is a principle, good job. And then weight refers to how heavy the element used in the presentation appears with respect to the design characteristics. So weight. What do you think is weighted more in this picture here of the Star Wars poster? The sword. Alright, so the lightsaber a little bit. Luke Skywalker and Leia maybe. The Death Star. And then maybe the title, Star Wars. They're the biggest objects. They're in the center. They grab your attention. And then the placement, overlapping, closeness, division, that forms the proximity of the elements in the presentation. So is everyone kind of like stacked up in a line?
Yeah.
We kind of got Luke Skywalker covering up some of Chewbacca's leg here, and he's covering up Leia. Leia's kind of covering up the Death Star. it gives you that idea of depth, right? Depth within the picture, distance, but they're still close to each other, they're within proximity. You guys remember the Harry Potter, the Sorcerer's Stone movie poster back in the day? What's the biggest thing in that poster? Harry Potter. And he's like right in front, you can see a whole bunch of stuff around him. But are they all like perfectly separated and lined up? It's like that overlapping thing, you get proximity. And it relays importance of characters in the movie and ideas in the movie, but it brings the main ideas, the focus, it brings it to the forefront, right? Is Harry Potter overlapped by anything? No, he's up front, right? So you know that he's the most important, probably the main character. Alright. Now there are 3 different ways to go about presenting an object, or creating a presentation, right? And so think about like a product. If you're gonna buy something, if someone creates a commercial or a movie poster or an advertisement, there's 3 main ways that they can do this. The first is through demonstration. They can show you how the finished visualization, the finished product is going to be used, right? Well, the scrubbing bubbles commercials, what do? Your toilet paper commercials. They show how they're durable, right? They show how they're applicable and how the finished product is good so that it makes you want to buy it. There's also the setting, so they can show it in a natural or an artificial environment. They can take your product like a car, you put it on a road, and is that its natural or an artificial environment? Natural environment. Who can think of an example of an artificial environment? Stephen?
Car in a showroom.
Car in a showroom. Yeah, because you're not really going to drive a car in a showroom, are you? What about another example? You want to think of anything? Josh?
At the repair shop.
Car at the repair shop. Alright. And then there's also the product alone. So show the final product by itself, emphasize its physical characteristics, shape, texture, features, or color. What's an example of this in common commercials today? Or even like advertisements in magazines? What about like Nike shoes? Or Adidas, where they just have like a plain background and they have like the shoe. Or if you guys are looking at magazines and there's like a black background and then a bottle of Jack Daniels or some other type of alcohol. A lot of your alcohols like to do this for some reason. Nothing else around it, or sometimes your cigarette, or something. Why are all these not so great products highlighted by just doing the product alone, right? What's another example? I want a little bit of brainstorming. Tires. Just tires by themselves, right? Tires standing out. Another example of any of them, demonstration, setting, product alone. Think of some visual presentations. A lot of them are commercials, maybe movie posters. Stephen?
Like the demonstration with the cars and stuff, the commercial is always like showing the car going and making it look all pretty on the road. And that monotone voice in the back is saying how awesome it is.
That's true. So like having like a Hemi and then having the car race some other car or outperform some other car. Kurt?
One truck like towing something up just by something on fire.
Yeah. A demonstration. Good job. So you guys are seeing how this is applicable and how if that, I mean those are a lot of like graphics and animated videos, but if you had something stagnant and stationary, kind of like this picture, or like Clorox bleach, something like that, you guys see how that would relate that? They'd have the Clorox jug sitting on like a countertop or by itself, heavily weighted to one side or the other with text so that it grabs your eye and talks a little bit about it. Alright. There are 7 different conceptual techniques for visual presentations. We're just going to go through these really quick. And your project today is going to be about using these to identify them. So conceptual techniques refer to how the presentation is formatted or arranged using elements and methods and principles and all that stuff. So there's several types of layouts. And the first is picture window. So this is an example of a picture window. The most popular format styles you use when images dominate the largest proportion of the layout. So you have this really big graphic that's your central focus. And then you got a little bit of text down at the bottom. You also have a type specimen, which is used when an enlarged typeface is the most important element of the layout. So here, the most important element is a little graphic, right? It's got words. That's what's drawing in your attention. So you got picture window, type specimen, copy heavy, when information or copy is the most important element of the layout. So you have like a little bit of information up top, but mostly a lot of text, important information here. And then Mondrian, who's named after, I guess it's Hyatt or Pete Mondrian, produced by dividing space into rectangles in different scale and proportion. And here you also have different colors. All the text, headings, and images are placed within rectangles, right? So you got a little block of information here, a block of information here, here, and here. What do they do with color? Principle, method, element, what?
We do like contrast and have text stand out.
Contrast, emphasis, yeah. What about the size of the rectangles?
Oh, no, different.
Sean?
They're all different.
They're all different. Why?
To emphasize some of them. Like the one on the top left's the biggest one, so it wants to dry right at first.
Okay, so the biggest rectangle might correspond to the most important piece of information they're trying to get across, right? The title. L'Oregon Libraries Network. That's what they want you to, that's what they want to capture your attention. That's what they want you to take away from the presentation. The biggest piece. What about down here in the bottom right? It's red, it gets your attention, it's a link, so it's important, but it's not a dominant feature, is it? Yes, no? Who thinks it's a dominant feature? Who thinks it's a non-dominant feature? Alright, so again, shape, which is one of our elements, size, color, elements of design that are being used here, emphasis, to create that contrast, and then hierarchy of information. There's an omnibus or circus layout, which is used when a variety of elements are needed in the layout. So here, it's kind of got a picture of a circus. It kind of just throws everything together, and there's different highlights of information. Like up here, you've got your title, and there's just a whole bunch of stuff in the middle. Multi-panel or cartoon uses panels of equal size, and many times are used to tell a sequential story. So again, like your cartoon, your comic strips. All right? And then lastly, you have silhouette. Text wrapped around an open image, which usually does not have a background. So there are your examples. All right? So there's 7 types of layouts, and there are 4 elements of visual presentations. And there are 3 ways to go about doing that, right? Demonstration, setting, and product alone. So what you're going to do today, get out of here really quick. So you're going to go to Blackboard, and you're going to go to 104.4, right, in your assignments. This is your assignment. Music, movie, poster activity. I'm just going to read this really quick. Create a PowerPoint showing examples of the 7 conceptual techniques learned in the presentation. You can only use music or movie posters, so those are your limitations. Each slide must have at least 1 complete sentence explaining why you chose the music or movie poster that you chose, and how it illustrates the conceptual technique for that slide. So you're going to have at least 8 slides, right? 1 with your name and the title, and the other 7 explaining the 7 types of presentation layouts, right? Please create a title slide, 8 slides total. You do not have to cite your sources for this assignment. Don't submit it in the digital Dropbox. When you're done, come get me and I'm going to look at it. So you need to find a picture of a music or movie poster. You need to defend why you chose it and how it fits one of the 7 layouts. And you need to write a complete sentence about it. Abhinav?
You have more than one, like, can you have a movie poster for more than one slide?
Nope.
Same one.
At least 7 different ones.
Okay.
I even challenge you guys to get 2 examples. Because you're just looking at pictures on the internet, right? You can look at your favorite movie posters, you can look at your favorite music artists and their album covers, and then you can relate that to visual presentation layouts. Does anyone have any questions? All right. Don't work on your crosswords from yesterday to today. Just want to dismiss you, go ahead and get back started on this presentation. When you're done, raise your hand, I'll come around and grade it. And then once everyone's done, we'll work on something else, all right? Kurt? No, you don't need to cite your resources. All right, just get your images, and it's going to be an image from like Google Image Search or Yahoo Image Search, and then you're going to write a sentence about it, and that should be good. All right? Stand up and push in your chairs. All right, back. Get to work. You need to vote.
Yeah.